The last chapter, chapter 18 of the Bhagavad Gita, the most secret of all information, Arjuna said, "Regarding the rejection of opportunity, O strong-armed hero, I want to know the fact. And regarding the rejection of consequences, O Hrishikesha, distinguish these, O slayer of Keshi." The Blessed Lord said, "The authoritative speakers know the rejection of opportunity as renunciation of actions which are prompted by craving. The clear-sighted seers declare the abandonment of the results of benefit-motivated action as the rejection of consequences. Some philosophers declare that action is to be abandoned, since it is full of faults. Some others say that acts of sacrifice, charity, and austerity are not to be abandoned. Hear my view on this matter of abandonment of the consequences of action, O best of the Bharatas. The abandonment of consequences, O tiger among men, is designated as being threefold. Acts of sacrifice, charity, and austerity are not to be abandoned, but should be performed. Sacrifice, charity, and austerity are purificatory acts, even for wise men. But these actions are to be performed by giving up attachments to results, O son of Pritha. This is definitely my highest opinion. But the renunciation of obligatory actions is not proper. The rejection of it on the basis of delusion is said to occur by the influence of depression. He who abandons action because of difficulty or because of fear of bodily suffering performs impulsive renunciation. He would not obtain the desired result of that renunciation. O Arjuna, when an action is done in a disciplinary manner, because it is to be performed, and with renunciation of the attachment to the results, it is considered to be in the clarifying mode. The renouncer who is filled with clarity, the wise man whose doubts are removed, does not hate disagreeable action, nor is he attached to agreeable performance. Indeed, it is not possible for the body-supported beings to abandon actions completely. But whosoever is the renouncer of the results of actions is called a renunciate. Undesired, desired, and mixed are the three types of results of actions that occur for the departing souls who do not renounce results. But for the renouncers of opportunity, there is no result at all. Learn from me, O mighty armed man, of the 5 factors declared in the Samkhya doctrine for the accomplishment of all actions: the location, the agent, the various instruments, the various movements, and destiny, the 5th factor. As for whatever project a human being undertakes with body, speech, and mind, regardless of it being moral or immoral, these are its 5 factors. In that case, whosoever regards himself as the only agent does not perceive correctly. This is due to the defective intellect of the idiot. Regarding the person whose attitude is not falsely assertive, whose intellect is not clouded, even after slaying these people, he would not have slain nor have been implicated. Experience, the item of research, and the experiencer are the 3 aspects which serve as the impetus for action. The instruction, the action itself, and the agent are 3 parts of an action. In the Samkhya analysis of the influence of material nature, it is stated that experience, action, and the agent are 3 types as categorized by the influence of material nature. Hear correctly of these as well. That experience by which one perceives one imperishable being in all beings, undivided in the divided, know it to be an experience in clarity. But that experience by which one realizes different beings of different kinds with differences in all beings should be known as experience in the impulsive mode. But that experience which appears to be the whole vision being attached to one procedure without due cause, without a valid purpose, being petty, that is said to be of the depressive influence. Action which is controlled, which is free from attachment, which is performed without craving or repulsion, without desire for results, such action is said to be of the clarifying influence. But that action which is performed with a wish for cravings, with false assertion, or alternately with much effort, that is said to be of the impulsive influence. That action which is undertaken from a misconception, regardless of the consequence, the damage, the violence, and without considering one's practical power, is said to be of the depressive mode. A performer who is free from attachment, free from vanity, who is consistent and perseverant, and who is unaffected in success or failure, is rated to be in the clarifying mode. A performer who is prone to impulsiveness, who craves the results of actions, who is greedy, violent by nature, unclean, and who is prone to joy or sorrow, is declared to be under the impulsive mode. A performer who is undisciplined, vulgar, stubborn, wicked, deceitful, lazy, depressed, and neglectful is said to be in the depressive mode. Now, O conqueror of wealthy countries, hear of the three types of intellect and also of determination, explained thoroughly and distinctly according to their distinctions under the influence of material nature. That intellectual insight which discerns when to endeavor and when not to strive, what should be done and what should not be done, what is dangerous and what is safe, what brings restrictions and what gives freedom, that, O son of Pritha, is in the clarifying mode. That intellect insight by which right and wrong, duty and neglect are mistakenly identified is, O son of Pritha, in the impulsive mode. That intellect insight which is absorbed by ignorance, which considers the wrong method as the right one and perceives all values in a perverted way, is, O son of Pritha, of the depressive mode. The determination which holds the mind, the energizing breath, and the senses by constant yoga expertise, that, O son of Pritha, is of the clarifying influence. But the determination by which one holds duty, pleasure, and wealth with attachment and with desire for results is an impulsion, O son of Pritha. That determination by which an idiot does not abandon sleep, fear, sorrow, despair, and pride is of the depressing mode. But now, hear from me, O strong man of the Bharatas, regarding the three types of happiness, which one either enjoys from habit or through which one comes to the end of sorrow. That which initially is like poison, but which changes into an experience like nectar, and which is felt through the clarity of spiritual discernment, is said to be happiness in the clarifying mode. That happiness which in the beginning seems like nectar and which comes from the contact between the sense organs and attractive objects, which changes as if it were poison, is recognized as impulsion. And that happiness which in the beginning and in consequence is bewildering to the person, which comes from sleep, laziness, and confusion, is said to be of the depressive mode. There is no object on earth, nor even in the subtle, mundane domains, which can exist without these three modes which were produced from material nature. The activities of the priestly teachers, the ruling sector, the productive managers, and the working class are allotted by the modes of material nature which arise from natural tendencies. tranquility, restraint, austerity, cleanliness, patience, straightforwardness, knowledge, discrimination, and a belief in God are the work of a priestly teacher based on his natural tendencies. Heroism, majesty, determination, expertise, lack of cowardice in battle, charitable disposition, and governing tendency are the actions of a ruling human being based on natural tendency. Agriculture, cow tending, and trading are the productive manager's activity based on natural tendency. Service actions are produced of a working class person based on natural tendency. A human being attains perfection by being content in the consistent execution of his duty. Hear of the means through which a duty-satisfied person finds perfection. Through the performance of his own duty, a human being finds perfection by worshiping the person from whom the beings originate and by whom all this is pervaded. Better to attend to one's own duty imperfectly than to heed another's perfectly. By performing actions which are restricted by one's own nature, one does not acquire fault. One should abandon inborn duty, O son of Kunti. One should not abandon inborn duty, O son of Kunti, even if it is faulty. Indeed, all undertakings are with defect, even as fire is shrouded with smoke. So again, one should not abandon inborn duty. He whose intellect is unattached in every application, who is self-controlled, whose yearnings have disappeared by the renunciation of opportunities, attains supreme perfection of being exempt from action. Learn from me briefly, O son of Kunti, how a person who attained perfection also reaches a spirituality which is the highest. Being yogically disciplined with purified intelligence and controlling the soul, firmly abandoning sound and other attractive sensations, rejecting craving and hatred, living in isolation, eating lightly, controlling speech, body, and mind, always being devoted to yogic meditation, resorting to dispassion, freeing oneself from a false assertion, from the application of brute force, from arrogance, from craving, and from possessiveness. Being unselfish and peaceful, one is suited to the spiritual level. One who is absorbed in the spiritual existence, who has a peaceful spirit, who does not lament nor hanker for anything, who is impartial to all beings, attains the supreme devotion to me. By devotion to me, he realizes how great I am and who I am in reality. Then, having known me in truth, he enters my association immediately. Furthermore, know that while performing all actions, he whose reliance is always on me gets by my grace, the eternal, imperishable abode. Again, know that while performing all actions, he whose reliance is always on me gets, by my grace, the eternal, imperishable abode. Renouncing by thought all actions to me, being devoted to me, relying on the process of disciplining the intellect by yoga, be constantly thinking of me. Thinking of me, you will, by my grace, surpass all difficulties. But if by false assertion you do not listen, you will be lost. While relying on a false assertive attitude, you may think, I will not fight. But that determination is mistaken. Your material nature will force you. By your natural tendencies, being bound by obligations, O son of Kunti, that which you do not want to perform due to delusion, you will do even if it is against your will. The Lord of all beings is situated in the central psyche, O Arjuna, causing all beings to transmigrate by his mystic power, just as if they were fixed to a spinning machine. With your whole being, go only to him for shelter, O descendant of Bharata. You will attain the supreme security and the eternal place by his grace. The information that is more secret than secret was explained by me to you. Having considered this fully, you may act as you please. Hear again of my supreme discourse, the most secret of all information. You are surely loved by me. Hence, I speak for your benefit. Be mindful of me. Be devoted to me. Sacrifice to me. Do bow to me. In this way, you will in truth come to me. I promise, for you are dear to me. Abandoning all traditional conduct, take refuge in me alone. I will cause you to be free of faults. Do not worry. This should not be told by you to anyone who does not perform austerity or is not devoted at any time or does not desire to hear what is said or who is critical of me. Whosoever, having performed the highest devotion to me, will explain this supreme secret to my devotees, will certainly come to me. And no one among human beings is more pleasing to me in performance than he, and no one on earth will be more dear to me than he. I would be loved by the devotee who, by sacrifice of his knowledge, will study this sacred conversation of ours. This is my opinion. Even the person who hears with confidence, without ridiculing, is freed. He should attain the happy worlds where persons of pious actions reside. Was this heard by you, O son of Pritha, with a one-pointed mind? Was your ignorance and confusion removed, O conqueror of wealthy countries? Arjuna says, through your grace the confusion is removed. Memory is retrieved by me, O unaffected one. I stand clear of doubts. I will execute your instruction. Sanjaya says, in this way I heard this talk of the son of Vasudeva and the great-souled son of Pritha. It is amazing. It causes the hairs to stand on end. By the grace of Vyasa, I am the one who heard this secret information of the supreme yoga from the Lord of Yoga, Krishna, who himself explained it directly. O King, remembering repeatedly this amazing and holy talk between Keshava and Arjuna, I rejoice again and again. And remembering repeatedly that super fantastic form of Hari, my astonishment is great, O King, and I excitedly rejoice again and again. Wherever there exists the Lord of Yoga, Krishna, wherever there is the son of Pritha, the bowman, there would certainly, surely be splendor, victory, prosperity, and morality. This is my opinion. Om Tat Sat. So that was the last chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. But remember that the Bhagavad Gita is an excerpt from a much larger story called the Mahabharata, the great Bharatas, this dynastic family in India, in ancient times in India, who were involved in this great epic battle, this civil war, this family battle. And so to understand the context really of the Bhagavad Gita, it's important that we read the Mahabharata. And it is the longest story ever written, so it's okay to get an abridged version of the Mahabharata so that you can familiarize yourself with what happened before Krishna and Arjuna have this conversation and what comes after. So it's very important so that we can really understand the Bhagavad Gita and what these people went through, including Lord Krishna, went through before this battle is going to take place. What caused it, what led up to it, and why Arjuna is kind of having this meltdown beforehand. Understanding all of that context before we get to the conversation between Krishna and Arjuna is really important. We get so much more out of it when we actually understand the broader story of the Mahabharata. So thank you for listening to these 18 chapters of the Gita. I hope you enjoyed it. My next project is two things. I'm going to read the 4 chapters, the 4 segments of the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. And then after that, I'm going to read to you my book called Kundalini and Me. And that's got several chapters in it. And it's kind of the book that I wrote that I love the most. So I hope you look forward to that. I sure do. Thanks for listening.